right.
tea.
And speaking of potatoes
Sorry.
and milk, welcome everyone to session 7 of Memento Mori, a Call of Cthulhu actual play run by myself and four hilarious dudes. I don't really know what to say. They are a special bunch, is really all I can say. A special creative, unique bunch. And we're just gonna get them to introduce themselves here. But we're gonna go around the table. Have everyone introduce themselves. But I did want to just give a quick little TLDR to our small audience that we are going to be doing an anthology series moving forward with Memento Mori. We discussed it at the end of last session. So just to give you a little basic idea, David, who was the benefactor of a large fortune that he had inherited, has opened an organization, an investigative organization, an order, as it were, called the Order of the Golden Sarcophagus. And our characters moving forward will be members of that organization operating in and around the Arkham area and perhaps beyond in the future. But for now, it's going to be in and around the fictional city of Arkham, Massachusetts. But without further ado, let's have our players introduce themselves, who they are playing, and then we'll get started with our opening scene. Sunbay, you're up first.
Wow. First, hard to believe.
You're
Sunbay,
always
first in the hearts and minds. I'm Sunbay, Jeff in the real world. I am playing Anton Andreevich Orlov, the former mafia, now facilitator for the order, bringing David's word from on high down to the order on the streets.
Good.
Who's next?
Let me see here. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, you.
Oh, so that's not how that goes. I am Professor Hex. This go round, previously I was playing Amara Al Haradi, but now I've moved on to a new character, Saoirse Joyce, a 26-year-old female pugilist from the Boston area, otherwise known as Juju, because one, the Irish names are difficult to pronounce, and two, she is a practitioner of Aiki Jiu-Jitsu. And so it's sort of that was the moniker that stuck. She's going to be the dumbest character I've yet played.
I like it. Eeny, meeny, miny, Matthew.
So this Aikojitsu, is that like the forerunner of Ambojitsu from Star Trek The Next Generation? I think it is. That's now canon.
I mean, obviously, yes.
Yes, good. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. I play the character of Luke Davenport, who is an occultist, alienist, and guest lecturer at the Miskatonic University, who has been hired on. He's something of the absent-minded professor to bring some academic rigor to the investigations that the institution is going to carry out.
Very good. And last, and certainly not least, Symbol 24.
And I am Symbol 24, as Wolf just said. You can find me here on Twitch under Symbol 24 as well. I stream from time to time, and I play a new character called the Beau Lafreniere, a mysterious detective grifter type person from Baton Rouge, who not recently, but has been for a few months now part of the Order of the Sarcophagus as a detective and occult man with Luke, and that's about it.
So I just want to say that I'm really happy because unlike our first opener where we were introducing new characters, I didn't have you all muted. So I just want to say, like, we're off to a really good start here. I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm feeling pretty good about this right now. It just gives me more opportunity to muck it up.
It's all downhill from here.
It's all downhill from there. That is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. But without further ado, we're going to open our first scene with a kind of over an aerial view of the city of Arkham. It is the middle of summer. The trees are vibrant, full of life. There are leaves. You see little birds and sparrows flying around, landing on these relatively new telephone wires and different poles and whatnot. We see people walking around the street. The downtown is bustling and alive with foot traffic as well as these noisy things called automobiles that have become more and more and more prevalent. But as we zoom in closer down to the city, we move past this busy, bustling downtown towards the more southern part of Arkham, across the Miskatonic River. On the other side of the Miskatonic River, the south side of the river, there is a kind of more industrial zone of the city. You see warehouses, you see factories, you see a number of places where large trucks are moving supplies in and out. And you also see a number of docks with boats unloading and offloading supplies. But it is in one of these large brick warehouse-style buildings that we actually zoom in on. And we come to the front of the building where we see a large double door, huge, made of this just beautifully polished wood. In fact, it doesn't seem to mesh with the rest of this more industrial atmosphere. It seems a little bit out of place. But what is most interesting, perhaps, about this door is that carved into the stonework around the door, we see a number of strange and very odd-looking symbols. They've been carved, and they look to have been carved with purpose. And if the players think back to those original symbols that we saw on the old farmhouse, those symbols, many of them, would be similar to the symbols you had seen on that farmhouse. But standing outside of these doors with nothing more than, well, what she brought with her, her clothing, perhaps a suitcase, you'll tell us, Juju. But we see her holding a piece of paper with an address. The address is 123 Miskatonic Way. And that is the address that she stands in front of. And you see over the doorway of this building with these strange symbols carved into the frame of the door, you see the words or the letters OSG.
It was OGS.
That's what I said, OGS. I was just checking to see if you were paying attention. OGS. Excuse
And I
me.
was.
You see a man up there with a chisel fixing where the S and the O was.
God
Currently
damn it.
fixing it. Yeah, he's, damn it, I fucked it up now. But OGS, excuse me. But
Okay.
take a moment, Juju. Describe your character to us.
Yeah, I will. So Juju is about she's about 5'8", so a little tall for a young woman of about 26 in this era. She's about 130 pounds. She's got kind of like an athletic frame, but clearly still kind of slender. She doesn't necessarily strike an imposing figure. Pale complexion, reddish blonde hair, kind of close cropped. But she's got a kind of a rough, vaguely masculine kind of energy and motion kind of about her. She's wearing like a sort of a derby style hat, and what is essentially a man's kind of like traveling suit. And she has just kicked the stand out for her Norton motorcycle. She drove it here. And on the back, you can see sort of a heavy canvas bag, slightly unzipped, in which you can see all manner of like electrical and mechanical tools. And she is, she takes a look at the piece of paper. She studies it closely, and then she looks back up at the building, sees the letters, and she folds it up, puts it in her jacket, and then you can see her sort of realize that her jacket sleeves and like her pants are like covered in, like bug guts and, dust and stuff like that. And she very quickly like brushes herself off in a kind of a haphazard way.
Mm-hmm.
And then she moves towards the double doors and then does a quick shave and a haircut.
I like that. Rap, tap, 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 tap. As you rap, tap, 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 shaving a haircut on the door, there is no immediate answer. Perhaps you knock again, perhaps you're patient and wait, but there is no immediate answer. Moments later, you hear, what kind of shoes does Blue wear? Are they like boots? Do they make like a loud clicking noise? Does he wear like tap dancing shoes? What is Blue wearing?
I don't know who Blue is, but I'm Bo.
Nope, it's Blue.
Nope, it's Bo.
All right, Bo.
Blue bow.
Bo is probably in some very comfortable, just normal kickers. But they do have the striking ta-tak when he walks in, and as he's walking through the door, you can hear like, Luke, God damn it, told you someone's at the door.
No, what? What was that?
Opens the door like, what do you want?
Oh, I'm sorry if I'm bothering you. I can just fuck off because I have plenty of other places to be. So I thought I was supposed to be here, but if you're going to bring that kind of just a thick and bad mood, I'm going to get on my motorcycle and I'm just going to go off.
Luke, I think the new hire is here.
What? Then just deal with her. Why is that my problem?
It's Anton's problem. Where's Anton?
How should I know?
Oh, I'm a problem now, am I? Can I just walk into the building?
You're not a problem, miss. Well, if you are, then you're Bo's problem. So
a woman's voice calls from behind Bo, and you hear is that Miss Juju at the door there?
Yes, that's right. That's me.
Oh, we've been expecting you. Come on in.
Have you?
Fill out some paperwork.
Oh, I'd love to. Let me just scoot by old Feckhead here. Oh, excuse me. Pardon.
Go right ahead.
Finally, someone with some sense.
As you enter in, you see that the interior of this, what appears to be a warehouse, has been relatively well converted into a kind of office building. There is a long hallway with tiled floors. Everything is pristine and clean. There is a portrait on the right wall of a man that he looks a little gruff in the picture. He looks a little serious in this painting, but it's a pretty lifelike painting. And it says, "In memory of Duncan Murphy," on the wall there, and you can see that there's a little I would say not even an altar, but a little candle stand, and there's like 2 candles that are lit currently under that. And then you can see that there are 2 other names that are listed on the wall, but perhaps you're moving too quick to really take notice of what those names were. Not quite as striking as this large portrait. But the walls of the interior have been painted this kind of nice, calming dark green, kind of like that smoking room green. There's a nice little molding, that kind of chair molding on the edge. It looks very comfortable, very cozy. As you walk in past the rude man who greeted you at the door, you see that there is a small little sitting room, a little library off to the side, where I'd like Luke to take a moment just to describe his character to everyone, as you've been shouting towards Bo.
So Luke is a man who is in his mid-50s. He is slightly stooped over in a comfortable reading chair. He has a book in his lap. He is Caucasian with a thick pair of reading glasses that he is fiddling with as he tries to read. His hair is black, but it's streaked with gray, particularly along the temples. He's clean-shaven and quite refined in his bearing. At least he has this affectation of being so. He looks like he stands about 5'10" if he was actually to get up, but it's difficult to tell given his posture. And he's sort of grumbling to himself in his suit with his tie slightly undone or loosened from his throat about all these disruptions, and he can't focus now. Just trying to read. Why do people keep bothering him?
What is he currently reading right now, Luke?
He is reading a text that has, it's basically almost like loosely papers that have been bound together, and on the front in pen is scrawled the works of Phineas Quimby.
Ooh, very interesting, very interesting. And as Juju gets partway down the hallway, we watch as Bo closes the door. I'd like Symbol 24 to take a moment to describe what Bo looks like to the group, please.
Of course, which I realized I didn't do earlier.
All right.
But Bo is wearing fedora, but he is about 5'10". He's medium build. He is very the average nondescript American, but he's wearing some jeans and a shirt that's not fully buttoned at the top.
Oh.
And where Luke has a proper, you know, although filled with books desk, there's a desk that is complete mess of papers and books all over the place. Clearly, that's where Bo is. In the middle of there is a little black cat taking a nap,
Mhm.
and on the chair there is a why can't I remember the name? The detective coats, the
Like a
Trench
duster?
coat?
Trench coat?
trench coat. Thank you.
Okay.
And with a holster hanging from there with a 9mm clearly visible. And yeah,
Like it.
as
I
he's
like
walking
it.
back to his desk, says, looks at the cat and, Lucky, she good? The cat perks up and trills a little bit and just like walks over and starts to sniff out this new arrival. And,
Juju, you see a black cat jump from a desk and slowly make its way over towards you. And does it curl between her legs, Bo? Or does it just sniff the air around her and then head off?
I don't know. It does the full cat thing of the curling, trying to get attention. And you notice that it's a black cat, but has one eye that is encircled by a white patch of fur.
Okay.
And she's got chromatic eyes, which means one is gray, one is yellow.
I love it. Very unique looking animal. Which one is circled by the white, the yellow or the gray?
The gray.
Like it. Very cool. I love that imagery. Juju, how do you respond to a kitty cat at your feet?
So I see this black cat sort of tracing around my ankles. What did you say its name was?
Lucky.
Lucky. Yeah. Well, of course, Lucky likes me. I'm fucking Irish, aren't I? And she'll just sort of like, kind of, at the cat.
And cat just like outstretches, like, oh yeah, give me attention.
She'll give a little kind of ruffle of the collar, and she'll say, "Oh yeah, so you're the second person to have greeted me warmly today, apart from
Oh, the name's Beatrice. Nice to meet you.
That's right, Beatrice.
We spoke on the phone the other day.
That's right. Yes, I do remember. Yeah. Is this So do I fill out your paperwork, or is there some big honcho I've got to meet, or?
Oh yes, it's actually all in the little paper packet that I have here for you. There's just a couple of things, some non-disclosure agreements you need to sign, as well as some death and dismemberment forms you need to sign as well. It's all pretty standard paperwork. You could just take a moment to scan it and look it over, and then you get up. Beatrice is a woman in her late 20s, maybe like 26, 27. She's got that like really like tight, curled, way too much product in her hair kind of style that you saw in the 20s. She looks like she's trying to really put on this very professional air, and she's doing a pretty good job of it, but you can tell very quickly that she herself is not from the upper class or professionals. She's doing her best to fit in. She knows this job is good and wants to try and keep it. But as you get up to the desk is this large oaken desk. It's got like the little counter on top, dips back. She's sitting behind it. You can just kind of see her head from the other side. And you see the letters, order OTGS carved into the front of it as well. And that's pretty much the entirety of the building. You can see that there are likely some doors that lead off into other areas, but it seems like the building has been renovated up here, but the rest has been left kind of open, as though it's been left open for potential expansion in the future. So it seems like this operation's kind of just getting started. But she has a little clipboard, picks it up, hands you a stack of papers. There's about 10 different sheets of paper in there with 12-point font that you can read through quickly.
Without even looking at it, she just grabs the nearest like pen, and she's just like, right, okay, yeah,
there,
all right,
there, yep, there is a kind of this clanging noise from, there's a door behind her desk. There's a clanging noise. It's a large door, big enough to where you could bring in, a large briefcase or a chest or something like that. And that door opens. It creaks open, not loudly, but you see Anton move in. And I know we've already been introduced to Anton, but just for everyone to get a little quick refresher on Anton, I'd like you to just describe Anton to us here. Maybe he's changed his outfit, his outward appearance.
Anton is about 5'8". He's wearing the little like the newsboy cap, leather jacket, overalls type working man outfit, boots. Miss Beatrice, have you seen Mr. Edward? I have to talk to him about the deliveries we have in the back.
No, he hasn't been in this morning. Wednesdays are the day that he spends time at the he gets coffee on Wednesdays and is usually a little bit late at the local coffee shop. He should be here. And she looks down at a little clock on her desk. He should be here within the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, I guess it can wait, but all right. And look over at Juju. This is the new person. She finally come, no?
Oh yes, this is Mrs. Juju. Mrs. Juju, this is Anton. He's our. And she kind of blinks a few times, thinking about what she should call you.
Is new word I learned. Logistics integrator.
Logistics integration integrator is what he is. Mm-hmm.
I find things, I get things, I move things.
Thank you for translating. Right. Yes, I'm Juju. I'm here.
Like the fruit, like the candy.
No.
Okay.
Right. Well, I'm here to do whatever you like, whatever I'm needed for, as long as it isn't, making lunch for old Bo Bridges over there.
As you're saying that, and as you're like pointing it to me, like I have 2 cups of tea just clunk on the desk. Did you want some?
She'll take one of the cups and sniff it.
Pretty good quality.
Beatrice, what time is it?
It is currently 9:45.
It's not strong enough for 9. Sorry.
Do you want something in it, dear?
Right. So, where do we get started? Where should we go? You got something to lift or separate or throw? Anything you like?
They have a shipment and back. We need to get some supplies moved and restocked.
All right, on his bus. And she makes her way through.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts pulling in like bits and pieces and stuff. And she is like weirdly strong for her size and frame, like freakishly strong, given what her whole shtick.
Mm-hmm.
And she just like carries like big traveling trunk like with just one hand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want this?
Oh, you can leave up in front and we can take care later.
She just like like it's nothing, just sort of pops the trunk on it. Right, all right, I'll go back for the rest.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So as Juju is helping unload the truck, we've got Anton likely assisting as well. We've got Bo drinking 2 cups of tea by himself. Luke currently studying his grimoire, excuse me, not grimoire, just a book of some sort. Interesting book of some sort. Grimoire, yes. The phone rings at the front desk, and yes, this location actually has a legitimate, very nice, dedicated telephone line. Beatrice answers. She says, "OSG, how can I help you?" You hear her go, "Mm-hmm. Oh my. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, it actually is the OGS. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit new here. It's only been about 2 months. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's correct. Oh dear. I mean, I'll have to talk with our, yes? No, absolutely. And what was the address? Very good. Yep, I will let them know, and we'll be in touch. Where can I reach you? Hello? Hello? Weird. She hangs up the phone. She's been busily writing something down. She goes to stand up. The door to the OGS opens up, and in steps Edward Monsieur. Edward Monsieur is a gentleman of African descent. He is about 6 feet tall. He's got a very broad shoulders. He's very He's very stocky for a tall person, not very lengthy. He doesn't have like really long arms. He's just very like solidly built. And he walks in and he's got this piping hot cup of coffee in this little like mug that he's got there. And he walks in and he just kind of lifts it up, motioning to Beatrice. You overhear every night.
I'm very curious about that now. Why? I mean, he has great collateral. Like the Fantasticar.
Have you seen Anchorman? That's one of his setup lines. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Is exactly right. All right, so good times. My computer's decided to blue screen, but it doesn't appear to be a heating issue. So, question mark? I guess computers do that sometimes. It is what it is. So we'll just roll on from there. But welcome everyone to part 2 of session 7. And here I thought I was going to get away with any tech issues. I really did. I had hope. My heart was full. It was super ready, but that's all right. We're moving on from there. But with that being said, we had just left off with you all being inside. Edward, this kind of manager or quote unquote leader of this organization, I guess the big head honcho, as it were, just under the old good David. He has walked in. He has a cup of coffee. He walks all the way up. You hear this kind of quiet conversation with him and Beatrice. Beatrice says something along the lines of, we just got this phone call. She was quite frantic. But when I asked her for her number, she said that she didn't feel safe giving it. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly something that we should be looking into, but it did seem strange. It was about her husband's disappearance about a week ago. You hear Edward respond back, well, missing person a week ago. Perhaps he just disappeared into a whorehouse and hasn't come out. And he responds back, it was something more than that. She said, well, I just think you should bring it to the other's attention. Your Edward say, we'll look into it. And then he heads off towards the direction of the little study, where he himself have a pretty large desk that he uses as a kind of, office study. It's a pretty big room. It's probably about 40 by 40. Nice big square room, big wall, big shelves with books on the wall. There's a sitting area. There's a little fireplace in there too. Like it's nice. It's built to look like a study. As he walks in, he motions. He actually motions over towards the good Luke, and he says, "What are we reading today?"
Oh, it's something by Mr. Quimby. It's a fascinating treatise on the law of attraction, if you will. Projection of one's positive emanations into the world so that they can then be reciprocated and amplified. Not doing a very good job of it today. I was so mean to that young woman who came in.
And what chapter are you in?
It's not really chaptered. It's an article.
And what paragraph are you on? Out of how many?
Paragraph 72.
Out of how many?
125.
Perhaps you should start over.
Well, I intend to reread it once I'm done.
Very good. We have something. Well, as I've said many times before, we might have something worth investigating.
Oh.
If you would do me the courtesy of gathering the others, I'd like to discuss what this potential case might involve.
He sort of grimaces and cocks his head, then slaps on a smile. Yes, of course, I would be pleased to do that. Gather the others.
As
like some sort of toady.
Stand up, Luke, and walk away. Edward just he's set his mug down on the desk. He's taking off his jacket, and he watches as you exit the room. And as you get just to the precipice of the door that leads into the hallway, he says, "First rule of attraction: be agreeable."
He just sort of cocks his head and moves on.
You head out into the hallway. You can go and gather the others. If you'd like to interact with anyone, you're welcome to do so. If you'd simply like to just gather everyone and bring them back, we could obviously do that as well.
I think that just as he's passing Bo, he is going to sort of nudge him in the shoulder and say, "Well, it seems we have another wild goose chase," as they say.
But those are the best kind.
I think it would be much easier if we were chasing tamed geese. Then you could just shoot them and prepare them.
Again, you always take things too literal.
Well, regardless, Mr. Mansour is looking for you, so please do join him at your earliest convenience. He's going to depart and gather the others.
Very good. As everyone else is gathered, you all shuffle into this large study, where at this point, the Edward is sitting by the fire, which he has lit. It's quite warm inside, but he has still chosen to light the fire, and he has a cigar in his left hand, and it's currently burning. You can see that it's been lit. And he has a bottle of what is likely brandy on the table with several glasses. None of them have been filled as of yet, but there's just a nice little decanter with some dark colored, what you can only assume is brandy inside of it. As you all shuffle in, he motions for you all to sit around, and he just takes a nice little puff on the cigar, and he just looks at each of you one after another.
Juju doesn't sit down. She makes a beeline for the brandy.
Mm-hmm.
And she just, as he's standing there, she's like, oh, cheers, thanks. And just begins to pour herself some.
You must be the new recruit.
Oh, yes, that's right. What gave it away?
I haven't seen you before.
Well, that'll do it.
He looks
Do you
over.
do you want one? Anybody? Yes? Hair of the dog?
Mind? Yeah, please.
And she'll do that thing where she like real quick. You know what I mean? You get like a quarter.
Yeah.
She just kind of splashes it around and takes her a drink, and then just like she points at the desk like, go on, get it.
I just reach down and toast her. Thank you, and I do apologize for earlier. I'm just dreadfully impolite of me.
It doesn't matter. Brandy under the bridge.
Okay.
She sits down and like finds a table that she can put her feet up on.
As she sits down, Edward sits up a little straighter in his. He's got a big armchair. You guys are sitting on these, this long kind of bench. There's two of them, these long, kind of couch-like seating areas, a little love seat and then a longer couch, and he's sitting in this armchair across from you. So it creates this kind of like semicircle around him with him at the head next to the burning fire on his left-hand side, which is far too warm again for the middle of summer, but he still chose to light a fire, perhaps for some sort of, I guess, mood setting, as it were. He's a man of drama, is what you've come to learn with Edward. He likes to set a scene, set a tone. Takes a drag, a little puff on the cigar again, takes it out. We have something. A woman, roughly 15 minutes ago, called in to our hotline. Call it such. It's about a missing person. Now, we've been on these kind of wild goose chases before, and they've always turned up to be he ran off with another woman, or he was drunk at the bar, or what have you, but Beatrice, you seemed a little shaken on this one. Now, I didn't listen to this woman, but I know Beatrice. Something about this woman unsettled her a moment. I know when we were all gathered together, when David brought us all together, it was to investigate the unknown, the strange, he kind of hesitates, almost choking back this word. But then it finally comes out. He says the otherworldly. Perhaps this will be finally where we get our break.
Juju was like slowly like raise her hand.
Yes.
Right. I have two questions. They'll be real quick. I won't bother you none. One, who the feck is David? And two, did you say otherworldly?
At that, Anton takes a shot out of the flask in his jacket.
He takes in a sharp inhale of breath. Anton, perhaps you'd be better able to explain this to our new recruit.
I was once like you, did not believe in or understand things outside of what you see every day. But
Right, I'm not an idiot.
no, there are things that cannot be explained. Some old stories maybe you hear that the old grandmas tell in the village. They might be true.
You're talking about what fairies and the like?
Yeah, fairies, ghost, goblins, the English zombie, the dead that walk.
These are more things that are, well, they go bump in the night.
Every culture has its own legendary and witch lore. It's a universality of the human condition throughout all eras. Why should it be so surprising that some of it's true?
Well, it's not. I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page, because normally when a girl walks in and takes a job from a classified ad, they don't start the job orientation, as it were, with ghosts are real, let's go find one.
Well, in all likelihood, he's just run off with his mistress, so...
Yeah, it's not a common thing.
Nasha, there are many things in this world that aren't explained, that there are no explanations, or we simply, and he takes out a gold coin, we just, never understand and the gold coin's gone. Never understand where it is. But sometimes there are people that come together, like us. We try to find and understand these things, try to explain the unexplainable. And he flicks his thumb, and you hear the telltale sign of a coin being flicked, like ping. But then, and you kind of see just like thump, things happen, and there are still no explanations. But sometimes we know it's just pure magic, illusions, sleight of hand. Sometimes we can't. We are here to try to understand what we can.
Right. Does that usually work on women, or?
Never in the time I've known him.
Is it trying to do anything special other to demonstrate the points?
Well, it's all well and good, right? But I mean, I'm not. I'm sure. I think maybe this is above my pay grade. I'm not sure what I can bring to the table.
Well, it's maybe much like I saw you work in the loading dock. Is strong arm, strong back. That's what I bring a little bit to that.
I can move some things around time to two. Yeah.
And I leave the more brainy stuff to Mr. David, to Mr. Luke. Bo, I still don't know what he does.
Well, that little bit of magical chicanery that he pulled was somewhat impressive.
Right. Well, I've got nothing else going on today, so why not?
All we have right now, gentlemen and lady, is an address. It's a small town, roughly, in your truck, Anton, probably about a 2 hours drive south of here. All I'm going to ask you to do today is travel, meet with this woman, and try to discover what may or may not have happened to her, well, to her husband. If we find something strange, so be it. If he simply got lost in the bar, well, another happy couple reunited. Any other questions?
Sorry, out of game, did you tell us this person's name?
No, not yet.
Okay. Then, in character, he'll stay quiet because he sees Juju raising her hand.
The head of the organization, Edward, tries to ignore Juju's raised hand, but we watch as it gets higher and higher and higher, and he goes, "Yes, Miss Juju."
Right. Is it okay if I take my motorcycle? I don't really do well in truck cabs. They make me nauseous.
He's okay with me.
See any problem with you driving separately?
Right, great. And she'll get up as if that was the signal to like let's do it. Let's break. Here we go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. So the city in question that you'll be traversing, that you'll be traveling to.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead, no, please.
While she's walking away, and I look at her and like, oh, and bonjour, who are we meeting?
The woman left her last name. Miss Reddington was her name. Redtiting. Her husband, George Reddington, left their house, something about a argument that they had, and she'd mentioned to Beatrice that he had been acting unlike himself. He was, well, you'll have to meet with her and perhaps garner some more information. He produces an address in Kingsport, which is south of Arkham. It is a coastal town on the Atlantic Ocean, but it's relatively small. There's some ports, some docks, things like that, but it's a pretty small little town, mostly just, maybe places to stop and eat, not a whole lot of industry. And this is apparently a home that they both own or that they live in somewhere along the north side of this small city. Any other questions before heading out?
You hear the sound of a motorcycle being kicked on outside.
She's
Love
like
that.
taking off, and she doesn't know where to go. I love it.
She's just leaving, never to return. I don't know.
I mean, could have scared her away.
I like that. I like that. I like that. All right. So as you guys get ready to leave, do you have any other conversations you'd like to have prior to hitting the proverbial road and heading south of Arkham? Beautiful. So we watch as everyone departs. A couple folks get into the truck. Juju is out front, the engine revved, the motorcycle ready. The truck pulls around. Perhaps we see Anton mention where they're heading to so that Juju doesn't drive off into the sunset, never to return. And we watch as the group begins their journey southward towards the city. And this address there in Kingsport. The drive itself is relatively uneventful. Like as I mentioned, it is a beautiful summer day. Anton raises his hand, pointing at the sky and how beautiful it looks outside. It's not storming, as it often does in these sessions. I think every one of our other sessions had rain. It's a beautiful, sunny, nice, warm, welcoming day. But Sunbay, you had a question.
Can we keep the cat over on that side of the truck cab?
Oh no, myself and the cat we're in the back of the truck.
Like that.
We never ride up in the cab.
Never.
That's you and Luke.
You and Luke. I like it. So as the drive itself is about 2 hours south of Arkham. It's a decent drive, and you make your way down one of the, not a highway. It's like a little 2-lane sort of road. I guess as highway as it gets in the 1920s. And as you're driving down, is there any conversation that you have with each other? Anything to share? Or are you simply just reading about the laws of attraction and trying to implement them into your life, Luke?
Oh, I think that Luke would just be sharing what he knows of Kingsport in terms of its reputation as being attractive to artists, this air of fairy that pervades the entire city, this strange high house in the mist that lies on one of its bluffs. Just a local mystery.
That the same type of fairy that Juju mentioned.
It's more of just an atmosphere. The creative senses, so artists tell me, are awakened there.
I've never had this type of.
Well, you know, when you see something so beautiful that it moves your spirit to awe and wonder. No?
No,
Okay.
I don't. I don't.
You hear hearing from the back. You hear laughing from the back.
So the most beautiful thing that you've ever seen, can you tell me what that
Yeah,
might
she
have
was a
been?
very, very, very beautiful woman I saw one time in the a show in New York City.
Well, that's slightly crass, but then what, how about a glass of the finest spirits? There's a beauty to the way in
No,
which the
vodka.
light reflects in it, right? There's appeal to it.
Maybe better inside whiskey because it gets different color inside vodka. It's clear and it's
Yes, I mean, you were the one who brought up
that stuff.
vodka. I was
But
thinking
you say spirit and vodka. We know is
that I will grant you that, true. But you admit then that there is a certain beauty to that. Well,
yeah,
think of that experience, but multiply it, and that's kind of what artists say they feel in Kingsport.
and is that what makes them want to do the painting, to do the sculpture?
Exactly. They see something beautiful, they experience it, and they want to capture it and share it with others.
Okay,
It's
but
kind of
do they? But they don't drink the
Oh no,
spirit.
artists drink so much.
You hear
Ah.
the rumbling of the motorcycle next to the cab, and you could see that Juju is like, she's got those like wraparound aviator kind of like plastic goggles like to protect her. She's like waving frantically at Anton, who I assume is driving.
Yep, that roll down the window. Yeah,
I'm bloody parched. Can I have your flask? Can you toss it this way?
yeah, that and pull it out and
Catches it. She's not even bothering to look at the road. She's got the throttle on and she's just looking at you and just like drink until it's like it had better be empty with the amount that she's tipped it up vertically. And she says, "Cheers," and tosses you the empty flask back through the cab window, and then just and takes off.
I have to feel this up when next time we stop.
And as you watch her take off, Anton, she sort of swerves into the left-hand lane to get around you. And it's at that moment you notice that there is a large either suitcase or a piece of luggage in the middle of the road that you are about to collide with. You are so distracted by Juju drinking all of your alcohol from your flask that you almost are about to run into this suitcase, which, based on how big it is, could potentially do some damage to the truck, or maybe even blow a tire. You can give me a drive test here, and we'll see what happens.
I love how the person who wasn't watching the road and just downed an entire flask of alcohol is not the one who has to make a drive roll to avoid an accident.
Fine. Yeah, she's in the right.
Yes.
She was in the left lane, not the right.
That's how the world works.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay, drive auto.
Absolutely fantastic. Would you like to spend some luck to fix that? I'm assuming not. That would be 37.
No.
No? All right, perfect. So we watch as Anton slams on the brakes. Luke, you are thrown into the dash of this vehicle, because I assume you're not wearing a seatbelt, because 1920s cars didn't have them. You are thrown into the dash. You get the wind knocked out of you. You hear a in the back. You hear a bow screaming.
Some choice course
And
words.
Juju, you hear the screech of tires, but do you stop? Is my question. Do you stop in this moment?
I mean, that could just be,
Anything.
that could be anything. So she's going to go for a little bit longer until
that.
she realizes that like something is wrong.
I like that. I like that a lot. So we watch as you stop, and you come just short of hitting it, of not hitting it, excuse me, and you actually bump the suitcase, this large case. It's roughly, think of it like a carry-on bag is how big it is, and you hit it, and it goes rolling, tumbles, and then lands right as though it lands, right side up, and just lands, and it's just sitting there in the middle of the road. But you hear a unfortunate and you feel the truck lurch ever so slightly forward and to the left towards the driver's side, and you're pretty sure you blew a tire.
I hate changing tire.
Oh.
I tell you, this Juju girl, she could pick up front of truck without jack and change tire like that.
Oh. Well, she can be my guest then. I do hope you have a jack, though.
Oh yeah, we have jack.
What in the what? Why did you stop?
There's a suitcase. You see, just on the road a little bit.
And he slides the back panel open. He's like, the hell you talking about, boy?
The suitcase on the road. I don't.
He's like, huh? Well,
Reaching to see pull out the bottle. Here, this might take off.
duh.
Sorry about the quick stop, but there was the suitcase, which is now farther down the road. I was about to run over, but I had to hit brake to stop. Now I have flat tire.
Oh,
So I fixed tire. You and Luke go check out suitcase.
all right.
Stuff?
Sure,
Yeah.
of course.
Good.
Yes.
Come on, Lucky. Let's see what that.
What did you just call
sexy
me?
Russian did.
Luke and Bo get out of the truck.
And Lucky.
Oh, excuse me.
Lucky. Who seems to be very angry at the moment.
Kitty has got his tail all poofed.
I
Fur's
don't
all on
like
its
that
end,
cat.
and the cat's looking at Anton with a very angry sort of side-eyed stare, mostly his gray eye with the white circle. We watch as the two of you get out. We see Anton getting a jack, starting to jack up the truck, getting out the spare tire. It's a whole thing. We see Juju still driving off towards the direction of the town. We see you get closer and closer to the suitcase, and as you get closer and closer to the suitcase, I'd like both of you to roll a spot hidden, please. I'd like you to both roll a spot hidden. We had a 66, which was a failure, and an 84, which was a failure. Absolutely fantastic. The suitcase itself is...
Nice knowing you guys.
The suitcase itself is made out of a dark red leather. It's been dyed. And there are these kind of like gray straps that wrap around the outside. It's got two of these large sort of locking kind of clips where each of the straps are. And you see that one of them has been clicked open, likely from the impact or perhaps where it fell off a car or something like that. Now, what is interesting is obviously this is on the road going towards the direction of Kingsport. And you're roughly about halfway on your journey at this point. There's another hour or so prior to you reaching the outskirts of Kingsport. But the chest itself appears to be in relatively good condition. There is a bit of scraping on it, some drag marks, some scrape on the leather from the collision with your vehicle, or perhaps just from being dropped on the road. What you do notice, though, even though you failed that spot hidden, what you do notice is that there is an engraving, kind of this carving into the leather right above where the handle for this large suitcase is. there's an engraving, and it is the initials AGW. AGW. That's what you see.
As I'm approaching the suitcase, can I assess its quality, the caliber of its construction? Is this sort of an expensive piece of luggage, or?
Because it is completely bound in dyed leather, this is not an inexpensive piece of luggage. It's someone that had at least a modicum of. Maybe they weren't filthy rich, but if they weren't filthy rich, they spent a pretty penny on getting that. Very nice.
Someone's going to be unhappy about losing this luggage.
That must have fallen off the back of his car or something like that. I mean, we should probably take a look. Maybe he left his wallet or some identification in there.
Yes.
Well, be my guest.
As you reach down, the suitcase, who is going towards the suitcase?
I am.
As you get close to the suitcase, the only latch that remained sealed clicks open. You get right down, you are just an inch away from the handle, it clicks open, and the suitcase seems to just ever so slightly kind of creak up. So you can just see where the seam of the suitcase is. You can see that there are some sort of contents inside.
As it clicks open, I react by standing up and moving backwards and drawing my pistol on it. Now, see that I don't like that, and I kick it open.
Look, just because we're in our line of business doesn't mean that there are ghosts hiding everywhere.
Now, see, I know a few gals that could fit in there, and I don't like this at all.
You think there's a body in there?
Well, as he kicks it open, you soon discover that there is no body inside of this. No body inside of this chest. What there are a number of portraits. Just a plethora of portraits. All of them appear to be photographs. Some of women, perhaps, some of men, but it's really hard to tell who these photographs specifically are. The only reason you can tell whether or not it's a man or a woman is because each of these photographs, and again, these are just that kind of photo paper. They're all like just inside, not bundled together. They're just strewn about. Each of the photographs, the face is overexposed. It's completely whited out. It's as though someone took a photo and all you can see is the clothing. As you look down to where the hands would be, the hands of the person are all completely overexposed, whited out, and you can only tell the sex or gender of this person based on the clothing that they were wearing. There are over 25 photographs in here. There is also a couple of pieces of clothing. They appear to be a man's clothing, likely an adult, pretty tall, skinny build based on the clothing. And there is also a luggage tag that you now notice was just kind of hidden underneath. It was attached to the handle, but it was kind of slid underneath the bottom side of it. There is a luggage tag with an address in, you guessed it, the town that you are heading towards in Kingsport.
See,
Well, someone's
that's
a
something special.
terrible photographer, but
I mean, I ain't know nothing about no photography, so what do we do with it?
well, and he just sort of like nudges it slightly with his foot.
Mm.
I suppose we close it up and take it with us. We can leave it at the address, note the tag. Somebody will probably retrieve it.
I bend down and start to rummage to see if there's like more papers or identification or anything inside the suitcase.
What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to make a check on this, and I'd like you to make another spot hidden check, please.
So,
Very nice.
regular success.
You actually find you actually find that there is a secret compartment, a kind of secret latch on the bottom part of the suitcase. The suitcase, you realize, is not quite as deep as it would be if you looked at it from the exterior. But you notice that there is a kind of little like sliding thing. You can like pry up this fabric. You can actually get behind it, and there appears to be more items underneath this fabric.
Take out the knife to pry it a bit open more, and like, well.
There is the sound of as you go to pry this open, there's a sound of a horn as a car goes by, the stalled out truck blaring its horn as it goes by, and a gentleman driving a kind of a sporty car similar to what Amara had gives you all the finger as he drives by.
Yes, perhaps we should vacate the road. That might be wise.
I look back at Anton. Is he still like he's still probably just doing his thing on the
He's
on the
still
truck,
trying to
and-
get the jack ready, I think, Anton.
There's a stream of Russian curses.
That's really
See,
funny.
we got plenty of time.
I like that. As you drag the suitcase off to the side of the road and eventually pry open this suitcase, you
Actually,
find...
I bring it back to the truck.
Oh, I like that. You
so
bring
that
it
we
back to the
can,
truck. Very good.
Prop it on the truck.
Perhaps you put it on the back bed of the truck.
Mm.
As you open it up, you pry open this underside of it. You find that there's a huge stack of letters. All of them have been unsealed. They have the envelopes as well. And they are addressed to... Well, they are addressed to a woman. Does anyone remember the name of the woman that you're supposed to go meet?
Reddington. But no first
Addressed to Lori Reddington.
name.
Return address?
This is a return address, yes. Oh, the return address is the address that is on the suitcase. Excuse me.
Okay. So to Kingsport from Kingsport.
Correct.
Addressed to Reddington.
Correct.
Hey,
And no name associated with that return address? Just the
No
address?
name, just the return address.
Okay.
maybe Mansour was right about our Mr. Reddington. Just a case of love triangle this time.
Well, if they're addressed to her, though, maybe a jealous lover who killed her husband? Is that what you're suggesting?
Or the
Possibly. But why would they be here? Oh, perhaps he fled. Oh, that's too many assumptions. And he's going to just rifle through the letters. Are there any dates on the postage themselves?
All of the letters are dated within the last 6 months.
Then he's
And
going to...
You find
Sorry, go
a
ahead.
dozen of them. So it looks like this person was sending letters to Miss Reddington back and forth every couple of weeks, every 2 weeks or so. And there's no return letters inside. But if you start with the oldest letter, it is you might have guessed, a declaration of love. A declaration of desire, of it was the greatest mistake not to take you as my own wife. Your husband is a fool. He doesn't respect you. It just goes on and on about this. And the next letter is there was likely a return letter to him, because this next letter is, I got your last letter. I understand that you think you love him, but I love you more than he loves you. And it just goes on. And as the letters go on and on and on, the last letter is perhaps the most cryptic. It says, if you will not let me have you, if you will not have me, then I will erase both of you.
Well, I think there are vastly fewer assumptions involved in our theory regarding what happened with her husband. Now, did you say? Oh,
I look up in front of the cab. I'm like, well, the new the new Shah isn't here yet. Guess she still hasn't noticed we're stuck. But until then, guess we just wait because let's try to help Anton to fix the truck.
The last thing that you find on this underside, though, is a stack of photograde paper. What is strange about this photograde paper is the coloring and the feel of it. It doesn't feel like paper. It kind of feels almost a little leathery, a little dry to the touch. Photo paper it's kind of got like a sheen to it. And you notice that the underside appears to have, at one point, likely held a large camera inside of it, but the camera is missing. And then also there are these little kind of circular compartments inside where photochemicals could be kept. All of those are missing as well. And there's just this stack of kind of like this weird paper. As you perhaps grab one of those pieces of paper or just flip it over, you see that the back side of the paper, it's very hard to see, but as you pick it up, you can see that there's this kind of glossy emblem that appears to have been kind of superimposed onto the back side of the paper. Do you have Cthulhu Mythos?
I do.
Roll me a Cthulhu Mythos, please.
I mean, it's probably going to be terrible, but
Yeah, it looks weird. Definitely doesn't look normal.
This mean anything to you, Luke?
I can't say that it does. GM, would I be able to discern what this material is? I presume that it's like vellum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can try to figure out what it is. Absolutely.
So what would that be?
I would have you roll. You have like medicine, or what kind of what skills do you have? Do you think would be applicable?
I'm kind of thinking occult, because he might be familiar with the various materials that are used to construct grimoires and tomes, and that could translate to this circumstance. But medicine would probably be best.
Well, medicine would likely work best, honestly, is what I would go with, yes.
Okay.
Well, you're not sure, but it's not standard paper. It's different, and it's weird. And it just feels a little crispy to the touch.
I'm sorry, Luke. I'm afraid I don't have any idea what this is.
Now, normally I'd say it's just a weird type of photo paper, but I'm not used to that. But the texture, the feel, I don't want to jump to conclusions, so I'm not going to. But it's triggering an alarm in my brain that I don't like.
I agree. I'm really rather concerned about this. And he's going to pick up one of the photographs. I assume that it has the same consistency and feel. When he turns it over, does it still have that same symbol that you mentioned on the back of the other paper?
It does not.
He's going to hold it up to the light, sort of like hold it up to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any kind of faint impression of that image, or?
No, but as you hold it up to the light of the sun, you can see where the kind of overexposed sections of the picture were, where the body would be, the hands, the face, etc. You can see that section of the paper seems to darken, where it should brighten up as the sun is hitting it. It seems to darken.
And bringing it down from the light again, does it return to normal or stay in that condition? Well, that's unusual.
You flip it around and look at the other side.
Yes, I would be looking at it from both sides.
So as you look at it from the side with the actual image of the person, as you bring it up to the light, you can watch as the paper seems to fade, almost as though it's starting to kind of flake before your eyes. And where the superimposed section was, you now see the image of, in this particular photo, a man whose mouth is just wide with fear. His eyes are wide with fear, and you can see what looks like blood dripping down out of his eyes, his nose, and from his mouth. You see the kind of dark red stains. And instead of the clothing being present, the clothing is now completely gone, and all you can see is his body. You can see kind of the lower section of his legs. His center is still missing because that's where the clothing was, but you can see just this as though he is in complete and utter pain, shock, and horror in this photo. Give me a sanity check.
Well, no.
I was waiting for that. Okay.
Fantastic. You have seen some stuff. You keep it together.
So
I
his
do not. Because I was down
If
near
you were
looking
looking
at
over his shoulder, you
Oh,
do
yeah.
not. You do not. You feel a little sick to your stomach. It's quite a shocking scene. You lose 3 sanity, my friend. 3 sanity.
So Luke's hand shaking slightly. He turns the photograph downwards again, so he's no longer looking at it, and drops it gingerly into the suitcase, closes the suitcase very carefully, locks it. Well, that was thoroughly disturbing. Are you all right, Bo?
Oh, and the cat just like comes over and starts to nudge his face while he's like, oh.
As the cat gets close to the container, the suitcase, the cat hisses at the suitcase.
I know, Lucky. That's some bad juju. That is some bad voodoo.
Indeed, although I would refrain from using that particular term, considering...
That's why I said
Juju,
voodoo.
have you noticed that you're traveling by yourself now and turned around and come back? Or are you still
I
driving?
mean, I went quite a ways, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually realized that I wasn't hearing the engine or the vibrations or anything. So I'm on my way back, but it's like in Holy Grail when Lancelot is storming the castle. I think it's Lancelot, right? And it keeps playing that one clip of him almost coming over the horizon. It's like that. I'm gonna get there. It's gonna take a little bit.
I like that. So you can hear the rev of the engine of her motorcycle getting closer. She's probably a minute or 2 out still as she's getting closer and closer. But you guys have a few moments to talk about what you've just witnessed.
I think Luke is just going to call over his shoulder to Anton. You're muted.
No, he can't hear you. He's too busy screaming Russian expletives.
Well, Bo, I think that we have a new, well, not exactly tangential, but parallel investigation to engage in when we reach Kingsport.
That last letter, I think he wasn't bluffing.
So it would seem, yes.
And he takes out he grabs the vodka bottle that he left in the back of the cab from earlier. He's like takes a swig. He tries to pass it to Luke, see if he wants any.
Please, thank you. Yes, most kind of you. GM, quick question, just to confirm. This was dropped on the side of the road that is heading towards Arkham or towards Kingsport?
Towards
Kingsport.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Now, it very easily could have fallen off someone traveling away. We don't know, but yes, it was in the direction of Kingsport.
I don't know if there's anything else that we can do here. Once we get to Kingsport, I'd like to try to secure some materials to conduct an investigation of the material here. I don't know if anyone in our party actually has skills in that regard.
We will find out.
Fair enough. He's just going to nudge the suitcase deeper into the back of the truck.
Like that. As you nudge the suitcase back deeper into the truck, you get this faint smell, this aroma seems to emanate slightly from the suitcase, which You've done your best to try and close, but the one latch is being fussy and it won't quite click into place. But you smell, that bright, like when you like a light bulb, the flash of the light bulb, and that kind of like chemical smell that you get when someone's taking old style photographs. I don't know if you're familiar with it. There's like a chemically smell. You get that chemically smell for just a moment, and finally you get that second latch to close and fully seal it, and it dissipates.
He's staring at the suitcase somewhat dubiously, and then, without breaking eye contact with the suitcase latch, he says to Bo, "You wouldn't happen to have any rope, would you? Maybe take a look inside the truck."
There's rope in the truck.
Yeah, I go back in there and probably take the rope I use as a pillow sometimes.
Would you be so kind as to just... He makes this gesture of tying the suitcase closed.
Does he ties it from inside the handle one way, the other way, and then like over the handle, and then like the double wind, does a nice knot and just hangs it
Like that.
off the wall. Like
A few moments later,
bad.
Juju arrives on the scene as Anton is finally getting the spare tire onto the truck. Been a real bitch, Anton.
The one on the motorcycle or the one on the tire?
She gets back on the motorcycle and drives away. No,
You
she
make me heat his
moves the-
suitcase in the road.
moves the goggles out of the way. What the fuck are you all doing?
Changing a tire from hitting a suitcase in the road that you go by. I didn't see the suitcase.
It's a wide road. I'd think you'd be able to move around the suitcase. It's not exactly a...
Not when you go right around in front and... Okay. Luke and Bo are looking at the suitcase. They've been quiet for a long time.
Well, it's a suit. Did you not obliterate it? It's just a suitcase.
No, because I am such a good driver. I stop just before I did hit it, but I just give it a little bitty love tap and it goes rolling down the road.
Right. She'll kind of like make her way incredulously around the side to where the suitcase is now.
The real work is being done.
Yes, thank you. All right, why have we bound this here suitcase that apparently
The suitcase is bound. I'm still like wider than earlier.
what's wrong with him?
Well, it has to do with the contents of the suitcase, actually.
That's some bad voodoo. Look, we gotta go to take Kingsport as fast as possible. Is Anton done?
You feel the truck as you ask that go clunk
Ka-tunk.
down a little bit, yeah, as he releases the jack.
I guess he is.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. You see, it's a bit of a matter of the law of attraction that I was talking about. We were thinking about this case in Kingsport, and suddenly we attracted to ourselves this suitcase, which is shockingly germane to our investigation.
German?
Relevant.
It means it's right in line with.
Yes. Yes. In fact, you might say that it's almost like karma. The universe is just depositing something in our laps. It's rather disturbing, actually.
It deposited something in front of your feet that you then collided with and then fell over.
Well, I didn't fall over. The truck hit it.
Have you heard of a metaphor before, lad?
I don't really care for the lad. I think I'm about 30 years older than you.
Well, I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. What would you like to call me? Feckin' old?
I mean, at least that would be apt.
All right. Have you heard of a metaphor, old timer?
I have. I think they're woefully inadequate. They don't really convey meaning precisely.
Are all the jobs going to be like this?
Yeah. Some are worse, some are easier.
Right. So I'm going to get back on my motorcycle. Hopefully you'll get back in a truck, and then we'll head towards where we were going in the first place before you found this briefcase.
Before you do, you should know that in all likelihood, the man that we're looking for is dead. And we also, that's not just me saying that, it's also that there's evidence that suggests it.
How did you? Well, you learn that from the suitcase, did you?
Yeah.
Yes, actually.
Well, open it up. Let me see.
I would advise you against that, but I'm not going to try to stop you because, quite frankly, you intimidate me.
She out of her pocket, she gets one of those heavy pocket knives.
Whoa,
Right.
whoa. We don't need to cut the rope. It's a pull away. He just yanks the one cord and pretty much undoes itself.
Right. And she'll open it up.
Mm-hmm.
What do I
thought that
see?
was for me.
You see a bunch of those photographs with, no faces and just
There's-
clothing. You
There's
see
one of the weird papers that somehow now is on top.
See a weird paper that's now on top. Yep, with a weird kind of imprint on the back, this weird symbol.
And all the letters are also strewn about. I'm like, I pick up the last one. It's like, there you go. Yeah. That's
Right, yada yada. If I can't have you, etc. Erase from existence or something or other. Yeah, it just looks like a bunch of junk.
Pick one of the photos. Any which one, doesn't matter.
She'll take one and she'll kind of look at it.
No.
You pick it up. You see nothing. You're not holding it up to the light.
Now turn it around.
She'll flip it over.
Put it up to the sun.
You see where the overexposure had taken place. It darkens. Flip it back.
She'll do that.
As you flip it back, you see a woman. The clothing is all missing. And you see a woman whose eyes have been apparently burned out. You see just this kind of blackened, everything is in black and white, but you see this blackened, flame-like they were poked out with a hot poker. Her mouth is wide as though she is screaming. You can see that there is black kind of blood dripping from her nose. You see that her lip has been split down the middle as though it's kind of opening like this. And her hands, which the arms were kind of like this, you can see her hands have a strange sort of runic symbol, one on one side, one on the other, that appear to have been carved with a knife into her palms.
Are the symbols exactly the same?
They're different.
Okay.
Give me a sanity check.
I'm going to spend 7 luck.
Just past that?
Yeah, because I don't want to be
Panic.
I want to just go through this
I like that.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So you do that. And it's a little disturbing, but you hold it together.
Yeah, spend some luck there. Was that 48? Yes. So she says, all right, so it's modern art. It's a little macabre, sure, but
Oh, I don't think that this is modern art. I think that they're photographs of victims.
Oh, I see. Right, so you got a serial killer. Well, that's
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
No problem. We can just go find him, beat the snot out of him, and bring him back to the authorities. I don't see what the problem is.
I didn't necessarily say that it was a problem.
Well, if there weren't a problem, we'd be on our way to Kingsport by now, instead of around here ficking about on the side of the road.
Well, I had a flat tire I have to fix
Precisely.
Just because you hit a suitcase.
because
Which
never mind.
which has to do with the case, which is the suitcase owned by the killer.
Yeah.
Humans.
Let's speed it up, shall we? The killer's getting away as we speak, as we're standing around with our,
You're
in our
the
hands,
one,
if you know what I'm saying.
asking the questions and stalling us. So can we put the suitcase back together and
She like pops the goggles back on. She just strides off to the motorcycle.
good.
Classic.
Ma'am, if I may,
Yes.
if time is of the essence here, perhaps you want to go faster than us, make it to Kingsport, investigate the home, and perhaps capture this man if you deem yourself to be competent.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd like to actually earn my pay. Yeah. So I'll go do that, shall I?
No. Go check on the Lori Reddington. Make sure she is okay first. Don't go to the address on the suitcase.
Of
You don't want to censor at the killer.
Well, she was
That's where
concerned
we all
about.
should be going.
She was concerned about our dilly-dallying.
She can go faster than truck. Go make sure the woman is okay.
Right. Do I have an address
Yeah.
for the woman you want me to come after?
Yeah, that was the one that we were going to anyways. We now know her name. You say on the letters is
Lori.
Lori
Laurie Reddington. Right. Okay. I'll do it.
Reddington.
Like it. So we're gonna watch as Juju speeds off southward along the road.
Does she do a wheelie?
No.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
no,
Yes.
Yeah, she's cool. I mean, come on. Like, it's all
Yeah.
the cool people are doing, for sure.
Yeah.
We watch as she
She
speeds
invented the
off
wheelie.
down the road. Does like a cool like spin thing on the wheelie and then like takes off. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, she's so cool. So edgy. But we watch as she spins off down the road. We see Anton, Luke get back into the truck, take off, obviously moving significantly slower. We watch as Juju, over the course of another, say, 30 or 45 minutes, as she's going quite fast, eventually arrives in the outskirts of Kingston, as it were. And as you are zipping around, it takes you a little bit of time to find this particular road. But eventually, you do find the road, the street, which this house is on. These are old style, kind of the colonial homes. They've got the big porch out front. It appears to be a nicer part of town. Well, maybe at one point it was a nicer part of town, but likely the money has left, and these houses have just passed on to next of kin or folks that bought them at a discounted price, and they've been left to not be completely run down, but you can see chipped paint. Perhaps one of the pillars isn't quite as stable as it should be. They've started to fall into disrepair because likely those that live there don't have the means to keep up with such a large property. Eventually you come to one of these, old colonial style houses, and you can see that the blinds, the curtains of the building are all closed. It is the middle of the day. It's roughly about, I'd say 1 o'clock in the afternoon at this point by the time you now have arrived, maybe noon, midday, the sun is high. All of the curtains are closed. There's no vehicle in the driveway. You do see that the garage at the back is closed. And what would you like to do?
Well, I think she would, pop the kickstand on the motorcycle, set that aside, toss the goggles and the canvas bag attached to the back, and she would, I guess, just make her way towards the address and just like bang on the door.
What you first notice about the home as you start to walk up is that the building itself is different as far as the other buildings, as far as its color, this kind of outward appearance that it has. The building itself is kind of painted in this dark kind of purple, almost looks like kind of like a royal purple. It's not a very common color you've seen. The frame of the door itself is a very bright kind of like effervescent white. And then the door itself is this dark kind of gray color as you get close. It almost looks like the colors don't quite match. The garden near the front, as you walk up these kind of large steps, there's about 6 of them that lead up to this large porch. You see that the garden itself is just full of these white roses, just beautiful white, perfect roses. But these roses are bristling with thorns, just completely bristling with thorns, and they look very well kept, very well manicured. In fact, this home, unlike the other homes, appears to be keeping up with appearances, as it were. All right? You get up. There's a large knocker, which is just a standard one, nothing crazy, just a little U-shaped bar with a little bowl on the end, and you can just knock on it.
She doesn't bother with that. She just bangs on the door with her fist.
Bang, bang, bang on the door. You wait a few moments. Seems almost similar to your arrival at the OGS, and there's no response.
As George Lucas says, it's like poetry, it rhymes. So she's going to, I guess at that point, she'll like back up a little bit and see if she can, like, if there's any purchase to see into any of the windows. I know the curtains were drawn, but
as you go around and you look for purchase, you maybe do a quick little walk left on the porch, right on the porch. The curtains have been drawn very tight, and it almost looks as though they were, with great purpose and care, closed to the point to where light would not enter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, she's going to take, she wants to do a quick kind of look around to see if there's anybody about, right? If she's being observed in any way, at least obviously.
Street doesn't seem, there's nobody on it. There's a young boy on a bicycle, one of those old style bicycles, like riding away from your direction on the other side of the road, but that's it.
Okay, then she's gonna kind of jog back over to the motorcycle, open up the canvas bag a little bit more, and take out a tire iron. And she's gonna make her way to like one of the rear windows. Like she'll go properly around the house, and then just like, bash open. Yes.
As you bash open that window, you are immediately assaulted with the smell of piss and shit, for lack of a better phrase. It smells horrible, as though someone had emptied their bowels into the interior of the home and just kept doing it. It smells very, very bad.
Oh, Christ in heaven.
However, as you smash the window, you hear footsteps of someone or something moving quickly away from your entry point. And this sound.
I think she'll be too distracted by the awful, awful smell to make too much notice of that. So she will, with the tire iron, she'll make sure that like she kind of clears out the glass, right? So that she doesn't just stab her knee. And she'll attempt to sort of like gingerly climb through into the house.
As you start to climb through, it takes your eyes a moment to adjust to the darkness of the interior. There is just this kind of beam of light that is entering in through the window that you broke. Perhaps move the curtains aside. Yeah. But as you move the curtains aside, you can see that everything inside is covered. So the furniture, you're likely in some sort of dining room at this point. You can see that the furniture has been covered with large drapes or sheets as though someone was leaving. You can see that the chairs are covered. Everything is covered in these dark, dark colored drapes. You can't quite see. You can see the shape of the furniture underneath, but you can't actually make out any of the distinguishing features of it. That smell of refuse has somewhat diminished as the fresh air from outside has started to travel in, but you can smell that it's coming from the room over. So if you're standing in this room, you have a doorway to your right, which seems to lead into a kitchen area, and there's a doorway off to the left-hand side, so you've entered into this window. There's a large dining table. There's a doorway off kind of kitty corner in your left direction that leads into what might be a parlor or a sitting room.
I think she would be heading in the direction that she would be heading towards where the, with a great deal of begrudging kind of acceptance, she'll head towards where the smell is.
So as you get closer and closer to the smell, it's actually in the direction of where this parlor might be. You can see that the door is open slightly. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And as you get just close to the door where you're about to maybe grab the handle and open it, someone, slams the door shut. You shouldn't be here. Unless... Are you from... Did you come... You have to close the curtains. You have to close the curtains. Have any light? No light inside. That can let there can be no light. It's a woman's voice, and she sounds frantic, terrified, nervous.
Juju will kind of like tighten her grip on the tire iron. She's had it the whole time. And she'll say through the door, right? She'll say, right, just give me a moment. I'll be right back. And so what she'll do is she will go into the next room and take the curtain and just kind of like jiggle it, right? As if she is closing it, but she's not going to do anything with it. Make the noise. All right. And she'll make her way back towards the door and sort of like quietly say through the door, like, all right, taking care of it. No more light.
Did you close it? Is it dark? Is it dark?
Absolutely. It's dark as feck out here.
You hear the door handle slowly turn. You can actually hear it shaking as this woman on the other side, it's just this rattling noise. The door slowly starts to open. Now, from where you're standing, the beam of light is not really hitting that door. So you've put yourself in a position where your lie, your fib that you're telling will likely play for a moment. But as the door creeps open a little more, a little more, a little more, you see this gray, almost kind of like sunken hand grab the edge of the door. It looks emaciated. It looks as though she hasn't seen the sun. She's almost not albino like those other people were, but she's just very pasty. And she slowly starts to open it. But as those fingers, and you can see that it is the left hand, you can see that there's a ring. She wraps it around, and the fingers come into where there is a bit of light.
Before she does that.
Yes.
Before that happens.
Okay.
I'd like to like kind of not too violently, but just sort of like press my shoulder into the door and like
brace it so that it can't be closed again.
Well, no. What I'd like to do is like, does the door open away from me?
Yes.
Okay. Then what I'm doing is I'm essentially putting force on the door so it will open and that she will back up into the room.
As you put your shoulder into the door and it backs up, this ambient light that you've allowed in flows into the room. As it flows into the room, that smell of refuse and feces starts to dissipate, actually. And it is replaced with this kind of burning smell. Like the smell of... Well, the smell of burning paper.
Better. Great.
You see the inside of a sitting room, a parlor. The room itself, the curtains are drawn shut. There are books, plates of food that have been consumed and simply left in place, rotten fruit, rotten meat. There are numbers of clothing. You can see that there are buckets of what likely may well be human refuse that have been used to relieve oneself. And as you push the door open a little bit more, cowering in the far right corner of the room, you see what looks to be a woman, but her hair seems to be blackened, almost to the color of charcoal. Skin is sunken. She looks very malnourished. She looks as though she has not drank any water in quite some time. Her eyes are sunken. How far open do you open the door? Do you open it completely? Halfway?
I'd say about halfway.
Open it halfway. A bit of This ambient light fills the room, slightly illuminates her. Begins to scream horribly. You watch as she looks down at her hands and she says, "No, no, you promised. You said it was closed. I can't. No, not like this. Please, gods, no, no." And she starts to panic and scream and shout. And you watch as she takes her hands, looks at them. Her eyes begin to sink in deeper and deeper, and you see smoke start to rise out from her eyes, and this kind of red and blackened flame appears in each of her orifices for her eyes, the eye sockets. You watch as her skin begins to flake away, revealing this kind of reddish flesh. It starts to tear back. She starts to try and close her hands, shrieking in pain as the light starts to turn her to this kind of dust. Each layer of skin, one after another, this painful sort of evaporation of her entire body. She screams and screams, but the screams start to be drowned out by this black sort of blood that starts to drip from her nose, her burned out eyes, her face. The ground around her starts to smolder. That smell of fire starts to grow stronger and stronger, this sort of fiery burning flesh. And you watch as in over the course of roughly 6 seconds, this woman fades to ash. There is a clicking sound. You look over towards the mantle. There's a fireplace in this room. Where you see a old, well, new to this age, old to our age, Lekia 35mm 1A camera. There's a little bit of smoke rising from the lens, which is covered by a cap. A little bit of purple black smoke that is rising from the camera. Give me a sanity check.
Doesn't seem like that deserves a sanity check.
That's fair. I'm still gonna make you make one, just for posterity's sake.
All right, sure.
Like
You
a
are
mouse.
stone cold.
I've seen some shit. This is pretty spooky, but so I think, yeah, she would like take a moment and like swallow hard, and she'd sigh and then basically take a look at the room, right, and kind of drink it in a little bit more.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a terrible phrase to use.
That's terrible. That's not the right phrase.
Yeah, there's liquids in here that you don't want anything to do with.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll say, well, the boys are not going to be happy about this.
Juju, I need you to give me a spot hidden check, please.
Sure. Gladly.
You hear it. There is you know that tire iron that you had?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you still have that in your hand?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Someone else has a tire iron too. And as you look over your shoulder, you see a shadowy figure swinging that tire iron down in your direction. I'm going to give you a dodge check here.
Okay. Now, let me just set the scene real quick. I have a dodge of 75.
Really good.
As it should be, since I'm a martial arts lady. So
I like that.
if I fail this miserably, that'll set a tone for literally the rest of this character's life.
I like it.
So let's see what happens. Oh, thank Christ.
You manage to slide back away from this assailant. As you do so, the assailant pushes past you into the room and rushes towards the direction of the camera. What would you like to do, Juju?
If I can, what I'd like to do is like kind of like take a long step forward, right? Like an extended step. And what I want to do is try to it again, one of those sort of like jujitsu things where they like catch the arm and then use the momentum to sort of like I basically want to like redirect this figure into the wall
Mhm.
that the door is in, right? So
Like
just
that.
like towards that.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And as you go to redirect, so that would be do you have martial arts as a skill, or do you have
It used to be
brawling?
martial arts, but then they rolled it all into brawl.
Brawling. So
So
scroll is a brawling. Mhm. Absolutely fantastic. You grab this figure and careen them into the wall. There is a loud thud. You can see the wall kind of dent in, and this figure falls over backwards, clutching his forehead and just grumbling to himself. Oh, son of a bitch! Why? Ow! Oh, Jesus! That really hurt. Why would you? Oh, damn it! Oh,
don't
why?
sneak up on me with a bloody tire
Well, I
iron. Now,
don't know who you are. You just,
I don't know who you are.
Well, you
Don't-
just broke into a house and oh
Yeah,
god,
I
oh,
thought
that
there was
hurts.
somebody in trouble in here.
Oh,
Don't you
son of a
fucking move.
Well, I was in the
Stay right there.
backyard over at the other house, and why does it smell like poo in here? This is horrible. Oh
Look,
god.
I don't know. I'm as in the dark as you are.
Oh
Okay.
jeez, man. Oh god.
Oh, I didn't hurt you that
You
badly.
hit my, and you see the little like crack on his head. This is a young adult. It's kind of looks like a young boy. Maybe he's in his early 20s, late teens. He's wearing these kind of like cargo like khaki pants kind of thing. Looks like he's like an outdoorsy guy. He's got like a shirt for like outdoor on, kind of like a V-neck cut. And he's got he's got not a hammer, but he's got like a gardening tool in his hand that he tried to hit you with. And he just looks like maybe one of the help at this point. And yeah, he's on the ground rocking back and forth, feeling a little confused. Tweety birds around his head.
I think Juju would take the tire iron and just like knock the tool out of his hand.
Yeah, he doesn't even resist. Oh, ow, damn
And
it.
just like she'd do the thing where she like grabs his lapels and like drags him up the wall.
Damn, you're strong.
Yeah, thank you. Now, what possessed you to come in and try to hit me with what is that? A trowel? What?
That's really funny. Well, I thought you were like a robber or something, and the missus, well, she's asked not to be I don't know. I was just trying to help. Why does it smell like poo in here?
What do you think, lad?
Looks around the room, sees the buckets. It's really disgusting.
I know. Perhaps we could have the rest of this conversation outside of this feckin' room.
I think that's a really good idea.
And she'll like forcefully, but like forcefully guide him out of the room.
Beautiful.
Let's say.
Juju, as you forcefully guide him out of the room, your eyes go in the direction of the mantle, and that 35mm camera, that Lekia 35-1A, it's not on the mantle anymore.
Is it gone?
Gone.
She'll kind of narrow her eyes and then look back to, all right, keep moving. Come on.
Yep. And as you push him outside, and you get out the back, you go out the window, or maybe through the door at this point, because you can unlock it.
I just go through the door.
Yeah, go through the door on the outside. We see Luke, Anton, and Bo arriving on the scene as well, pulling up to the address. Oh, damn. You don't have to push me, all right? I'm going. I'm complying. You left my trowel inside. I need that for work.
Right. Nice of you boys to join us. I was almost murdered by this young lad here.
Whoa. I didn't try to do any murdering, all right? I just was going to try to knock her out and check on the missus. That's all I was doing, all right? That's all I was doing. I'm just the help. I'm the gardener. See those roses? That's my work. Name's Jimmy. Nice to meet you all. Also, it smells like poo in there. That's real messed up. Yeah, but they're a weird group, kind of eclectic. Wait, what's the word?
Listen, Jimmy, let me give you a bit of advice. Shut the fuck up.
And I'd follow the chair's words here. She's something.
All right, Lance. I entered in to try to check on the Mrs. Reddington. Unfortunately, she was. Well, I don't exactly know how to put it. She was there, and now she's a pile of nothing. Something to do with the light. I can't tell if maybe she had some kind of gasoline or something on her. I don't know. It happened rather quickly. Either way, we've got an empty house with a lot of, I imagine, valuable information inside, and as the lad did rightly point out, just a lot of shite.
Actual shit?
Was-
Or...
was that another metaphor?
Actual, no, it's not as literal this time. Actual literal shite.
So no more metaphors.
Uh,
So wrap your feces if you want to go in there. While you're doing that, I'm gonna escort old Jimmy here back to his abode.
Oh,
Is he the one who do the thing?
What? Do what thing?
Oh no, no, he didn't. He didn't murder. No, absolutely not.
Wait, there was a murder?
What's your name, Jimmy?
Jimmy?
After that?
Jimmy Johns? They call me JJ.
Is that name on the suitcase?
No.
There's a suitcase?
What do you know of
worry about it.
suitcase?
I believe that the woman did tell you to be quiet. I think that was a very good piece of advice. Don't ask any questions, please. You're just disrupting us.
Makes himself very small.
That's right, Jimmy.
Thank
You're
you.
asking a lot of questions for somebody who's at our mercy. So, I tell you what. And she'll aggressively pat Jimmy on the back. Right. Let's take you back to your place. I will do my utmost to explain who we are and why we're here, and then we'll never hear from you again. Is that clear?
I better go with Juju.
Yes, Jimmy.
Am I allowed to respond with a yes or no?
Well, you've just spoken now, so you've already broken the rule.
Oh, yes.
Great. She'll grab the collar and just move him along.
He lives down the road, like 3 houses down the road. Yeah.
And I follow.
I like that blue. Oh, excuse me. But that leaves Luke and Anton to approach the home and see what they can see.
Well, Anton, you have more practical experience than I. Would you like to... And he gestures towards the open doorway. And as he gets a whiff of that air emanating from this fetid stench, he sort of takes out a pocket square and presses that against his mouth.
She was not kidding.
Mm.
So we'll go in and try to find. Did she say where?
Well, the smell of refuse is strongest coming from the far back parlor room.
Before Juju would have left, she would have aimlessly thumbed her, gestured in the direction of the back,
Okay.
Area, but that's about it.
She blocked off all the windows.
Like a dark room for photography. And he's just going to open the door slowly and then survey the room.
You're surveying the parlor room?
Yes.
So as you open the doorway, do you turn on any of the lights? Do you do
Not
anything
at
you try and
first. Not at first. So I want to get a lay of the
a
room.
little bit of ambient light into the room. I like that. So the parlor itself, all of the furniture has been shoved against the walls. The curtains have been drawn tight. The fireplace itself looks to have not been lit at all. And there are carvings. There are carvings that look like they were carved with perhaps a very dull object like a butter knife or even a fork or a spoon that was fashioned into it. there are carvings in the walls, and what it says is, "Once close, an eye of flame forms within. When life arrived, it is always capitalized, became enraged and started to devour stars. Fear the light, fear the light." And very similar to like Red Room, "Fear the light" is just written and carved into the walls just again and again and again and again and again, all over the interior of this room.
I have flashlight inside the truck. I'll go get it right back. I'll run out
On
to
the
the truck and grab a
floor,
flashlight.
on the carpeted floor of this particular parlor, it's a kind of like a dark blue carpeted floor. Not very plushy at this time, just a dark blue carpet. You can see that there is a burn mark in the floor that matches as though someone was likely kneeling in that place and then fell backwards, and you can see the imprint of hands. You can see the imprint of the backside of a head burned into the floor. In one of the armchairs of this room as well, you can see the imprint of what appears to be a burned body, like almost like a outline or a sketch outline of someone, like a crime sketch where they do the chalk outline. Excuse me, similar to that as well, burned into the chair.
Turning over to the right, can I take a peek into that room where the woman actually was originally?
That is the room I was describing. If I wasn't clear, I
Okay.
apologize.
My apologies.
Yes.
Is there a phone in this room?
There is a phone in this room, yes.
Using what little light is available, he's just going to take a circle of the room to see if there's anything like on the mantle or on shelving units that attracts his attention.
There is a faint, thin layer of almost ashy-like dust that is all over the room. The floor, the mantle, but on the mantle, dead center, there is a clear spot where there is no ashy dust in the shape of what appears to be the bottom side of a camera.
Then he'd like to go over to one of the locations where there are those burn marks and investigate them. Is there any sort of ash left behind, any remnants, anything that hasn't been burned up from what he assumes are these bodies?
Left behind, yes.
He'll collect that and I guess just return to the doorway to await Anton.
Anton has arrived as well.
Use battery flashlight.
Well, be my guest. I don't know if there's really anything to find here other than the obvious corpses. Looks like all these people were burned to death.
He's more than one person.
And he points out the chair and then the floor.
Do you think his husband?
I couldn't tell. I don't know why she would contact us about her husband and use that as some kind of excuse if he'd been killed here. But
the other people? Nah, it couldn't be other people in pictures, no?
I suspect at least two of them, yes. He's actually going to go back to the truck and get the suitcase, open it up on the back, and review the photographs. Is one of those sort of blank pieces of paper that's in the bottom section now a photograph?
Is indeed. See a woman the exact same way I described her, with the burned out eyes, the symbols on her hand. And if Juju was there, it would look just like the woman that I described to him. There's a brand new photo. It's still kind of slippery to the touch too, as though it was just in some what's the new photography? Such a goober. But the liquid that you use to
Emollients?
I can't think of it, but yes.
Emulsifier?
Emulsifier or something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Very quickly, he's going to flip it over. Because the photograph is still drying, is there some sort of remnant of that
There is.
icon?
Yes. And it's actually a little bit brighter than I saw before. It is a kind of a pentagram-like icon, but the pentagrams, the edges of the star, the pentagram star, are kind of curved like claws, and there is this kind of smoky mist, almost like someone took some ink and just kind of spat it onto the back of this paper that is purple, but is very quickly fading away.
He'll close up the suitcase and take it by the handle, carrying it off with him into the house, and he'll pass this photograph to Anton. Well, it seems that we have another photograph. I assume of the woman who died here.
Is there other photo paper still inside that doesn't have any photos on?
They are, yes.
What would happen if we tear up paper or burn the paper?
That
Could
is
he
a good
still take pictures?
question. He just shrugs. I don't know what he's capable of now, but one keeps photographs as souvenirs, mementos. These are tremendously important to him. He'll want them back.
Juju and Bo, excuse me. I'm going to get it right one of these days. Juju and Bo.
Oh, you won't.
Been a while.
You are returning back towards the address of the Reddington. And you see that driving down the road in your direction is an old 1924 cop car. What appears to be 2 police officers inside. Siren isn't on, but the lights are on. They are driving up in the direction of where the truck and the motorcycle is parked.
I think Juju would give Bo a look like, all right, how do I want to play this?
Don't worry, love. I got this.
Right. Don't call me
love
that.
me.
And as you stroll over to them, 2 gruff beat officers step out of the vehicle. One of them slightly portly. He kind of has a piggish face. The other one's a little bit taller, a little lengthy. And it's the small and slightly portly one that speaks first. And he says, "We got a report of a break-in. You all wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" And that,
yes,
my friends, we're going to end today's session. That is where we're going to end today's session. You're going to have to save that thought, Bo. You're going to have to save that thought. Because I think that's a great point to end it on a little bit of a cliffhanger there, so we can bring the viewers back in. But this was session 1. I apologize to our viewers for the little break there. My computer just blue screen for some reason. No idea why. Computers are weird. And I do put this thing through the ringer every day, recording lots of videos and streaming and I don't know, whatever.
Magnets. How do they work?
It's magnets. How do they work? I don't know. But yeah, so this is our first of the anthology series called The Omission. And I'm excited to see what you guys discover and hopefully, I guess, prevent this horrible thing from continuing next session. But what do you guys think so far? Do you feel thoroughly dragged in? Did you like what you've seen so far? Was it good, bad? I'm right. This is one that I wrote myself, so I'm asking for a little bit of feedback. Hopefully, you're liking it.
You're a sick fuck.
I think I personally I thought it was really shitty.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
It was,
Rimshot.
Easy to
Yes.
take the piss from.
Yeah,
Oof.
I like that. It's good. That's good. I like that. Okay, good. Well, all that matters to me is you guys are having fun, and I've never written anything homebrew for Call of Cthulhu, and I just had an idea that kind of inspired me, and figured I would run with it and see where you guys took it. And so far, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what you guys do with it next session as well. But as I always say at the end of every session, any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns from the players before we wrap up today's session?
Good.
Thumbs up, head bobs, angry glares from
I've
Gus Hex.
I've hit my
You're dead
poop
to me.
my poop quota.
I like that. That's good. You don't have to deal with any
Piss and
shit.
poop.
You don't have to deal with any shit
Yearly
moving
poop
forward,
quota
which is
has
good.
been met. Please no more
But
poop.
with that being said, as I always say as well, thank you so much to the players for playing. Without you guys, this is literally impossible. So I really appreciate you all being here and hanging out with me. Thank you to the viewers for viewing. It's always fun to have folks watch. Happy gaming, everybody. We will actually catch you guys next, not next weekend, but the following weekend. I'm actually going to be out of town for a week, so we'll be returning on the 22nd is when we're going to be returning for session 2, or session 8, but session 2 of this short adventure that we're running here called the Omission. And we'll have a nice little wrap up for that series at that point, or for this first part of it. In the meantime, though, be well, be safe, and we'll catch you next time. Good night, everybody.